Thanks for staying. I'm Emmanuel Abuaji-Wiafe. Now, the new chief executive of Gridco, Jonathan Amoakuban, says he plans putting in place measures that will help reduce the cost of distributing power. This, he believes, would go a long way to reduce electricity tariffs in the country. The new boss of Gridco disclosed this to Joy Business after the inauguration of the Gridco board. George Wiafe has more.
The 8-member Gridco board is chaired by the former head of the Media Commission, ambassador and former journalist Cabral Blay Amihie. Inaugurating the board, Energy Minister William Oreku-Edu charged them to do everything within their power to help improve the operations of Gridco.
There are still challenges within the power delivery on the whole. It is my fervent hope that you, the board, will provide the necessary directives for the resolution of all the difficulties associated with the transmission system. One main task, which is quite urgent, is to see the establishment of the wholesale electricity market, which in my opinion will drive down tariffs and give comfort to customers and make us competitive in the sub-region through the West Africa Power Pool, that is the WAP system. The board have to help them, that is Gridco, to grow expertise in wholesale power market and grid consultancy, and that we are developing to get a share of the growing electricity market within the sub-region and beyond. Gridco has potential for additional revenue for the leasing of its excess fiber optic network and maintenance agreements with the mining companies for the maintenance of their capacitors, transformers, and other switchyard equipment.
Chairman of the board, Cabral Blay Amihie, said the board's workings will be guided by the president's vision of industrializing the economy. Hence, reliable power is critical to achieving this.
The enormity of the task that the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has assigned us as the new governing board of Gridco, a very strategic institution in the overall development of Ghana, was not lost on me. And I believe the other directors, when we were first informed about our appointment. Today, with the formal inauguration of the board by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Energy and the commencement of our association with Gridco, we are more than reminded about our responsibility to the millions of our compatriots who have reposed their confidence and trust in the government to deliver and guarantee uninterrupted power supply for both domestic, commercial, and industrial purposes.
The chief executive of Gridco said it is critical to reduce the cost of utility tariffs because of its impact on the economy.
My focus is to get it established to run properly. The reason being that we think that if we have the wholesale electricity market established properly, it will drive tariffs down and consumers would pay less electricity bills, which will make everybody happy. It will also make production of electricity in Ghana very competitive, and we can export to the outside markets, the countries surrounding the country like Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, and even to Mali. You know, everybody wants cheap electricity. Everybody wants cheap electricity, and I believe that if we're able to drive the cost of production down, we'll be able to launch into the export market.
And away from that, HFC Bank might be the first financial institution trying to get shareholders' approval to recapitalize. The bank, in a circular issued to investors this month, is also seeking permission to change the bank's name to Republic. There's more in this report.
According to the circular, HFC is seeking approval to raise some 50 million cedis from shareholders. It is not clear for now whether this move was targeted at meeting initial capital level of 120 million cedis or the current 400 million cedis. Now adding a 50 million cedis to be raised to HFC's current stated capital of 96 million cedis would only lead to the levels hitting 140 million cedis. This should mean that the bank may have to raise another 260 million cedis within the next 15 months to achieve Bank of Ghana's new levels. It is likely that some other banks listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange may go this way very soon to raise more funds to help them capitalize. But the problem, whether looking at the time left to raise the funds, they can get all the targeted amount, or they might be forced to look outside to raise the funds to help them meet the new capital requirements come January 1st, 2019.
CEO of Women's World Banking Ghana, Charlotte Lily Baidu, says increasing the capital requirement is not the only way to sanitize the banking industry. She's therefore urging a holistic assessment of the entire financial sector in the country. The sector has been confronted by several issues, resulting in the collapse of UT and Capital banks. Speaking on JoyNews' flagship business leadership program, the Executive Lounge, CEO of the bank, Charlotte Baidu, said it is imperative to tackle the challenges head-on.
My problem is there are fundamental issues apart from increasing capital. If you increase capital and then you get people merging, there are acquisitions here and there. Is that the way that we want to go? Is that all? What happens to savings and loans? What happens to the rural banks that are helping in the financial inclusion? If we are saying that everybody should get huge capital before they can reach the unbanked, I am sure a lot more people will not be reached. Then we'll get to where we are. We are all dreaming of having financial inclusion agenda all the time. So to me, increasing capital is okay, but a whole financial ecosystem needs to be looked at because the penetration is still low in terms of even the universal banking, even the unbanked. What is their penetration rate? I am not sure the universal banks have even penetrated 10% of the bankable population. It is the savings and loans, the finance houses, the microfinance, the susus that have penetrated a lot, and now the telcos. So to me, increasing capital alone is not the way to go. There are other cankers that are hurting the industry that needs to be looked at.
Get the full interview with Charlotte Lily Baidu on tomorrow's edition of the Executive Lounge on JoyNews. Now moving on, as the world marks Pension Awareness Day today, Ghana's informal pension sector has come to the fore. Currently, it is faced with several challenges, with about 1.6 million informal sector workers not subscribed to any pension scheme. It is against this backdrop that the People's Pension Trust has engaged executives of the Union of Informal Workers, UNIWA, to mark the day. Charles Aite reports.
It's Pensions Awareness Day, and here at the Trade Union Congress, executive members of the Union of Informal Workers, and of course that's of the People's Pension Trust, have converged at the TUC to deliberate on best ways to increase their interest in the informal pension sector. We shall be speaking with the Chief Finance Officer of the People's Pension Trust in the person of Samuel Waterbeck to find out from him what exactly are the key challenges facing the informal sector workers regarding pensions and how best governments can come in the wake of this challenge.
85% of the workforce in the country falls under the informal sector, but the majority do not have access to a pension scheme. According to latest figures from the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, the number of informal sector workers who are not subscribed to the informal pension scheme stands at 1.6 million. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive Officer of the People's Pensions Trust, Samuel Waterbeck, noted the trend can change if government incentivizes the sector.
Currently, also in Ghana, life expectancy is increasing. So we know that a time will come that majority of the workers in the informal sector can't continue to do the work that they are doing anymore. Now we know that these people can't also depend solely on their family anymore because of the breakdown of joint family structure. So we need to come with a scheme where people can put money aside so that that when the time comes that they can't work anymore, they have money coming in. And I think how government can help to boost the sector is to come with a matching scheme, because the education is something that we are doing. And as you said, the moment that we educate people, yes, they have the zeal to join. But the question is not just joining, it's about paying consistently. And for people to pay consistently, I believe there should be an incentive for them to pay.
General Secretary of the Union of Informal Workers, UNIWA, Deborah Freeman, has hinted of plans to get 150,000 informal workers on the pension scheme by the end of 2017.
Already we have 81,000, so we are expecting that by the end of this year, at least we should be able to have about up to 150,000. Informal workers, because now we have a few months to end the year, so we don't want to be over-ambitious.
Meanwhile, government is hopeful of shoring up interest in the Tier 3 pension scheme so as to boost confidence in the sector. For Joy Business, Charles Aite reporting.
The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has indicated plans to make the Ashanti region an export powerhouse. The initiative is to identify new products with significant export potentials in the district of the region. Deputy Manager Eric Chumbuafo advises government to avoid the over-reliance on the oil find at the expense of non-traditional exports. He spoke at a sensitization conference on the One District, One Export product for metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the Ashanti region. Prince Apia has more report.
The remaining 4 regions in the northern part of Ghana are targeted in the second phase of the workshop after the first had 6 covered. The conference is part of a nationwide consultation to solicit input for execution to complement the district industrialization concept. Deputy Manager Eric Chumbuafo admonishes government to avoid over-reliance on oil at the expense of non-traditional exports.
We must, however, bear in mind and take the necessary precautions not to go to the path of the states that have neglected other sectors after discovering oil. Non-traditional exports provides more jobs and security than oil would ever do. And the caution is to move away from the proverbial Dutch disease. The key tenets of the National Export Strategy document advocates the identification, development and promotion of at least one exportable product per district. This should seamlessly dovetail into the main government's overarching policy initiative of the One District, One Factory industrialization concept, which will basically be an opportunity for us to resource the various factories that would come under the One District, One Factory.
Mr. Chumbuafo says the authority will strengthen regional offices to ensure effective trade facilitation. He says an effective implementation of the initiative in Ashanti region will make it a powerhouse for export.
So far, change is manifesting in the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. Our vision is to establish regional offices with district representatives who will see to the full implementation of the One District, One Export product concept. We are looking forward to strengthening our presence in this region to be able to unleash the full potential of the Ashanti region. We want to see the full implementation of this project to help us achieve the target we set ourselves to develop and promote exports vigorously to achieve a $10 billion value in the next 4 years. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our task here today is simple and clearly defined. We need to select a product or service with immense export potential from each district of this region. This region is vast and blessed with immense potentials for agribusiness, services, and related export value chains. This region is known for its land and forest resources. This will challenge us to do everything within our power to transform this region into an export powerhouse. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority, under the new leadership, is also committed to redeveloping the Kumasi office. I'm sure some of you have seen the office, into an ultra-modern trade facilitation office to be able to do what we are asking all of you to do.
Prince Apia reporting.
The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has received 2 mobile laboratories to facilitate inspection of items for valuation purposes. The mobile laboratories were jointly donated by the Netherlands Embassy in Accra and the GIZ under the Good Financial Governance Program. Speaking to Joy Business after the handing over ceremony in Accra, Head of Customs Laboratory Anthony Mensah noted the vans would ensure the security for test samples and also speed up the processes of the paperless port system.
The original lab is there. That is at the airport. But we want to make sure that we get to importers or to our borders and stations whenever they make a request for us to draw samples for analysis at our lab. So by getting these vans, we'll be able to move them to wherever we are called, either the borders or the stations. And we have equipment, basic equipment in the van that can be used for easy and some of the analysis. So it will help in facilitating testing of our samples and also facilitating trade. In a week, the lab sometimes in a week does about 80 containers of ethyl alcohol. Now they have to draw samples from there and bring it to the laboratory in Accra. Then the results are sent there. But this time around, we have a wine lab and a small equipment on this one, which can be taken to Tema. So you take it to Tema, and that 80 containers can be worked on within 2 days. The next day, 24, 48 hours, it should be done. So it will make sure that working on those samples, we improve on it, and it works faster. This request was made before the paperless port, project started. But with this coming, it will really help, because this time around, we can move it to Tema, do our analysis there, and clear it right there without coming. So it's part of it. And now it's a customs lab that has been mandated to draw samples with the regulatory agencies whenever they are doing the joint examination. So with that, it will also help to clear and facilitate the paperless project.
This is Business Live. Now, in our interview of the day today, the Ministry of Agriculture is seeking an increased budgetary allocation as it steps up its fight against the fall armyworm invasion. Experts have predicted a return of the armyworm invasion as farmers prepare for the second crop season. But speaking to Joy Business in an interview, Deputy Minister for Agriculture George Oduro noted that a special provision will be made in the subsequent budgets to confront the worm threats.
Interview of the day.
What I was saying is that the affected area in terms of acreages is 115 hectares. That's where the armyworms attacked. But the number destroyed is 14,000, let's say 15,000. The destroyed ones, those ones, you can't do anything about it, it's destroyed. But the affected, affected is different from destroyed. So when they attack or affected 115 hectares, yes. So when the chemicals were applied, then we were able to control them. So out of that, only 15,000 just destroyed.
And finally, on the agric sector, yes, there are also proposals that once we started this Planting for Food and Jobs program, we've seen something like the armyworm and all that. What are we doing to ensure the crops, the farms, so that should there be any such disasters, we don't have to go back to cabinet, we don't have to go back for more funds, but then we have like a backup to make sure that when any disaster happens, there's an insurance in place to help us. What are we doing about that?
What you have to do is that last year when they came, like I said, we were not serious about it as a country. But you can't blame anybody because they were new in the system. Now, even today or this year, Minister was able to source for 16 million cedis, which you use for these armyworm chemicals. Now, fortunately, the year is just about to get to an end. We are all doing our budget. So, if last year our budget was, say, 10 million without the armyworm funding, now you are aware that there's another armyworm. So we definitely will add or increase our budget for the armyworm to make us fully equipped. So definitely we are going to ask for money to increase our budget to combat the armyworm. because definitely they will react next year, come next year planting season, because they are here and they are here to stay, and you should be ready for them.
Interview of the day.
And that'll be it for today. Many thanks for your company on the program the whole of the week, and keep on watching. For more business stories, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a great weekend.